Hello, this is Sara with Posh Pooch Designs, and today's video I'm going to show you how to make this heart coaster. And before we get started, I do want to explain to you that it's very important that you use the right hook for the right project. I just did a little experiment. This coaster is stitched using our G hook, which is what we're going to use today. And so I decided to try doing it with the next hook up, which is an H hook, and you would think that it really wouldn't matter, but it does. Look at the difference here. And this one that I have on the blocking board doesn't have the extra ruffle on it yet, so it really does make a difference. This one measures 4 inches by 5 inches, and this one measures 5 inches by 6 inches, so you're gaining a whole inch. Now, it's really no big deal if you like a nice big coaster. And this heart is so much fun, and it can also be used as an applique, or you could hang them up to make a banner, or even use them to make 2 of them and make little gift bags to put little sweetheart goodies inside. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make one that looks similar to this one. And of course, like I just stated, we're going to be using our G hook. You're also going to need a needle, weaving in your ends, and you'll need a pair of scissors. And the yarn that we're going to be using is Red Heart Super Saver number 4. You can use any worsted weight number 4 yarns that you want to. I'm going to be using this light purple to do the center where it's pink on this one. And I'm going to use this light pink to do this red portion on this one. And then I'm going to finish off my trim in the white. And like I said, they're all worsted weight yarns. It takes very little yarn to make these, and they're lots of fun. They're great Valentine's Day decorations. So gather you some of your extra worsted weight yarn. Because it takes very little, you can use up your scraps, make them in any colors that you want. And we'll go ahead and get started. Now, the heart coaster pattern is a free pattern on my blog. I will put the blog link in the notes underneath the video, and you can go and take a look at those. Now, it is a step-by-step photo tutorial, which might help you. Some people prefer a written pattern, and some prefer a video. So I try to cover all the bases as best I can. All right, well, let's get started on this one. We're going to set this aside to clear out that screen a little bit. And the first thing that we're going to do is make our slip knot. And then we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now our first 3 chains are going to count as our first double crochet, and then we're going to double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. You go in, pull up a loop, first 2, go through the second 2. We're going to make another double crochet, and then we're going to chain 2. And we're going to be working in this same chain that we started working in. And we're going to make 3 more sets of 3 double crochets, chain 2. And of course, we're starting on the center of our heart. Put my ball and my yarn ball over there, or my yarn bowl. 1, 2, 3, chain 2. So now I have 3 sets. I need to do 1 more. 1, 2, 3. We're going to chain 2 and join to the top of that chain 3 that started as our first double crochet. Now you'll notice you may have a hole. Don't panic. When we're done, I'll show you how to turn it over and weave this in order to close up that hole. All right, so now we have 4 sets of 3 double crochets, just like a regular granny square. And we're going to do this next row exactly the same. We're going to slip stitch in the next 2 double crochets, and this gets us over to our first chain 2 space. We're going to go in there, pull up a loop, and do a slip stitch and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to place 2 more double crochets. So now we have 3 double crochets. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to place 3 more double crochets in that same chain 2 space. And if you've ever done a basic or classic granny square, this is pretty much the first 2 rows the same way that you do a granny square. This is how I do a granny square, I should say. I don't always do it the same way as everybody else. All right, 1, 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to continue to make those 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets in the corners, and then chain 2. I lost my hook there. So we've got 2 corners done, and we're going to do the same thing in these last 2 corners. We chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, then we'll chain 2, then we'll do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, another chain 2, and then we'll join to the top of this chain 3 so that we'll have a square. And then the next row, I'll show you how to turn that square into a heart. So I did my 4 corners, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochets, then chain 2, and then we do this all 4 ways around on all 4 corners. So I did my last chain 2, and I'm going to join to the top of this chain 3. Now this next section, we're going to be making the little humps on our heart. So we won't be working flat, we'll be working like a diamond. And we're going to be working up here, we're going to make these little humps right here. And this is the most complicated part of the pattern. It's really not complicated, but it's the most complicated part of this pattern. So what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch in the next 2 double crochets. Then we're going to slip stitch in that first corner. And we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. And this is just to get us back around here because we're going to be working in this chain 2 space because our 2 humps for our heart are going to be in these 2 chain 2 spaces. So now we're going to double crochet 7 double crochets in this chain 2 space. And this is where the hump of the heart is going to begin. The hump or the bump, whatever we want to call it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. So you can see we've got a little curve there, and we're going to chain 2, and then we're just going to slip stitch in this next corner. That's our next chain 2 space, and then we'll chain 2. So that's one of our little heart bumps or humps or whatever you want to call it done. And now we're going to do the same thing working back this way. So we did that single crochet in that corner, chain 2, and now we're going to place 7 double crochets in this next chain 2 space. There's 4. 5, more yarn there. 6 and 7. So we'll chain 2. we'll slip stitch in this corner like we did this corner over here. And now we're going to place 3 slip stitches. 1, 2, 3. That way it looks the same as it does over here. And now we're going to tie off our yarn. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and weave in my ends because when we do the next row, we'll be joining down here. So go ahead and grab that needle and turn it over. And the first one we're going to do is this one over here on the side. And we're going to make sure we go in stitches, not the holes. If we use our needle and weave our yarn in through the holes, it might come out. Turn this way, and I'm just going to go back the way I came. Snug that down a little and clip that off. Now I'm going to show you how to close this hole on the back of your heart. Scoot that over a little. Thread that piece of yarn in your needle. And what we're going to do is we're going to stitch around these stitches and then gather it closed. So we'll go around there. Turn, go all the way around. And now we're going to gently tug on it and see how it closes up. And if you look on the front, mine needs to be tugged a little bit more. And once I get it like I want it, I usually stitch forward around just a little bit more because I want it to hold. I don't want it to come undone. So like this. And then I'll take it and I'll hold it and I'll go up like 1 stitch and go back the way I came. And that just kind of gives it a little bit of going the other direction, and that will keep it from coming undone. So there's the center of our heart. Now, this is a cute little heart as it is, and this could also, just like it is, make a nice decoration. All right, so next we're going to be joining in our pink yarn to do the next round. So the next row that we're going to do is this row here that I have done in red. I'm going to be doing it in this light pink for today's demonstration. We're going to be starting down here at the corner, and we're going to do a regular corner, the 3, chain 2, 3 double crochets, then we'll chain 2, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and then we'll stitch 7 double crochets in the 4th chain. We'll chain 2, and then we're going to do that long single crochet right there. Don't worry, I'll show you how to do it. And then we do everything else in reverse back down here. So we're going to start at the corner. Whoops. We're going to join our yarn in. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we'll place 2 more double crochets. And we'll chain 2. Then we'll place 3 double crochets, just like we do on any corner on any basic granny squares. So there's the corner. We're going to chain 2, and we're going to move up this way. So we're going to place 3 double crochets. There we go. In this next double crochet, chain 2, and this particular corner can be a little bit tricky. We're going to make sure that we put our 3 double crochets in the original corner, not the chain 2 space up here. We're going to go in this chain 2 space for our 3 double crochets. We're going to chain 2, and now we're going to go to the 4th double crochet of the first heart bump. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in that 4th double crochet, we're going to stitch 7 double crochets. Got a corner, our 2 sides, and 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Some more yarn here. We're going to chain 2. And now we're going to do a long single crochet. What that means is we're going to stitch all the way down through this hole and back up. So we're going to go down to this hole. We're going to go through the back, pull that loop up, and then make a single crochet. Looks like that. It's the only one we'll have to do. 1, 2, chain 2. Then we do the same thing. We're going to go in the 4th double crochet and chain go in the 4th double crochet and double crochet 7 double crochets, chain 2, and then we'll do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and then we'll join right back here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my 4th. 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and chain 2. So there's my 2 little humps. And remember, when we're doing this side, we're not going in the chain 2 next to this hump. We're going in the chain 2 from the original corner. So we're going to do our double crochets in this double crochet, or in this chain 2 space. We're going to make 3 double crochets in this chain 2 space. Chain 2, 3 double crochets in the next chain 2 space, chain 2, and now we're going to join to the top of that chain 3. And this is what your little heart should look like at this point. Here's our corner, our 3 double crochet chain 2s, our 2 heart bumps, and here's our long single crochet. And what that does is it helps with the shaping. This is what your heart should look like after our first 4 rows or rounds. And for row 5, we're going to be stitching 1 single crochet in each of the double crochets and 2 single crochets in each of the chain 2 spaces. So basically it's 1 single crochet in each stitch and chain around our heart. By stitching this row of single crochets, it'll make the heart have a much more crisp shape. So, 1 single crochet in each stitch and chain around. I stitched my 1 single crochet in each chain and stitch around, and I cut off my pink, and now I'm going to join in my white because I'm using my white for my trim. And then we'll come back and weave that pink one in, white one in when we're done. So I'm going to chain 1, and now I'm going to place 1 single crochet in each single crochet around my heart. Isn't that going to be pretty with a white trim? Now the heart that I did earlier that I have on my blocking board, I didn't add the lacy trim, but the heart that I have over here, I did add the lacy trim. And after we do our row of single crochets all the way around, I'll show you how to make that lacy trim. I finished my row of single crochets all the way around my heart. Now, if you don't want to add the lacy row and leave it plain like this one, that's just fine. You can tie off and weave in your ends. But I'm going to add the lacy row. Looks like this. It's basically done with chains and slip stitches. And the way we do it is we chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to skip this next stitch and slip stitch in the next single crochet. Then we're going to chain 3. We'll skip the next single crochet and slip stitch in the next single crochet. And this just gives us a nice little lacy stitch, lacy edge without too much fuss, but it looks really pretty and really adds a little extra touch to the heart. So chain 3, skip the next single crochet and slip stitch in the next, all the way around your heart. When we get done, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to block your heart if it's curling up. So you can see I did finish my ruffly edge, my lacy edge, whatever we want to call it, and it does curl up a little bit. When I originally wrote this pattern, I was wanting it to sit up like this so that when you put your cup on it, it might keep from sliding around. But after a while, I decided I really didn't care for that. And so what I did is I began to block them. And what I do is I just take a board like this. You can use any kind of sponge that you have, and I pin them down onto the board, and then I dampen them with spray bottle, or I just get some water and splash it on there, and sometimes I get them wet before I put them on the board, and then I just pin them down. And the question, you know, that I get sometimes is, will it work for acrylic yarns? And it absolutely will, to help crisp them up. I don't know about you, but especially if I'm going to give this as a gift, I want it to look as crisp and neat as I possibly can get it. Now, I may not be the best crocheter in the world, but I do want it to look as nice as it can. And so I'm going to go ahead and block this one, and this one needs to be blocked as well. And so I'm going to do that to make them look nice and neat.